We live, we live, we live.
We
Hey,
live now?
we are absolutely live. So, so we this is what happens when you got a bunch of tech stuff happening. You start late, you finish early.
Nah, but hey, you the tech guy, man. I gotta give you your shout out because
Man,
last week I was struggle bus
that
struggle.
happens, yo. It happens. That joint. So, before we welcome off the record, this episode, I think 236. We got a bunch of episodes. It's like, dang. So, I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Sports Scotty B. So let's
All
get to
right.
it. Let's get to it because we're gonna do the 30 minutes short. Cause
Yeah. Well, yeah. So week two, right?
okay,
So we're gonna overreact. We're gonna overreact a little bit, and I think that's the point of what we got going on. We need to overreact. So, what's your biggest overreaction of week two?
the Bengals,
What about them?
them being 0-2 now, and people just writing them off. I get they got a new offensive line and it looks like trash, but as you know, as a football coach, sometimes it takes a while for a group to come together. So I want to give it a little bit more time before I just completely write them off.
Okay, so you don't want to write them off because they just went to the Super Bowl.
Right. I think Joe Burrow is a rising star. I know we've discussed that a ton. I know you're going to talk about Tua and we got to get to Herbert. But I think Joe Burrow can figure it out. We just need to give him a little bit more time. So that's my biggest reaction.
All right. In my case, the biggest overreaction are the Philadelphia Eagles, man. And I'm not trying to be a hater. I don't want nobody coming to me talking about I'm a hater. Case. Oops. The biggest overreaction. I don't know what just happened there, but I don't want people to think that I'm a Cowboys fan. So you talking about the Eagles and yada yada yada. But my thing is this. I don't want to hear Super Bowl talk after 2 weeks. I mean, they played, and let's be honest, they played the Lions and they almost lost, right? Because the Lions are sneaky good. I don't even know how sneaky it really is, and they played the Vikings, right? And I think that the Vikings had shots. Irv Smith dropped a wide open 80-yard touchdown, and their defense didn't look like they just let Jalen Hurts run roughshod over them early.
But that's the key. I think a lot of people just thought that this year that Jalen Hurts is going to take that step. And right now, he's showing it. I mean, he looked really good against the Vikings. And again, it's the Vikings, but a lot of people have the Vikings winning that division.
I have the Vikings.
Yeah, a lot of people are sold on Kirk Cousins or sold on Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook and this new coach and the new system. So for them to win that game, I'm not saying that they're going to the Super Bowl, but I can see where Eagles fans will be excited.
But Super Bowl after 2 weeks?
So let me ask you this, right? So we got obvious reasons, Buffalo, right? Buffalo looks really good.
They look like one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, Buffalo does. In the NFC, who really looks that good to where you're thinking, if you're an Eagles fan, if you're a Detroit fan, if you're a Cowboys fan, if you're a 49ers fan, that you're still not in it?
No, you should feel that way. You should feel that way. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at you feeling like I don't feel like Cowboys. I'm like, let's win a division first, get to the playoffs, win a couple playoff games, then get to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's just the way I'm wired. But I mean, at this moment, I even heard somebody say Jalen Hurts is a candidate for MVP.
Well, okay. So let's put this into perspective, right? I think that's a bit much, but if he continues to play how he played against the Vikings, it's not outside the possibility.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, he put up. So look, if we're gonna say Jalen Hurts is a candidate for MVP,
Mm-hmm.
what about Tua?
Well,
I mean,
overreaction.
I mean, if we're going that route,
But he was balling. He was balling. Two. But
so naturally, I've been a Tua hater, right?
absolutely, because
so
you are a quarterback hater. But whatever.
I'm not a quarterback hater. I just
Hate
I didn't
quarterbacks.
necessarily. I don't hate quarterbacks. I didn't see it, right?
Okay.
So Tyreek Hill. So we saw it a little bit with Jalen Waddle, right? So it's like, okay, last year, okay, I can see where this can go in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Tyreek Hill, I mean, he just bragged about this guy. I mean, like the entire offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? It sounds like sour grapes a little bit, because like Kansas City didn't give him the money. Tua is not Patrick Mahomes. So, I mean, that's my that's my thought process.
That was the last time Patrick Mahomes threw 6 touchdowns in the game. I'm just saying. I'm just
I mean, and to be fair, the Ravens' defense it played terrible, but I mean, when you have Tyreek Hill and you got Waddle,
mm-hmm.
I mean, those are two really good receivers, and I wouldn't even say underrated,
mm-hmm.
but I mean Waddle to an extent, right? Because if he progresses how he's going this season, I mean, he's going to have a breakout season. I mean, that boy has been getting off, but if you're playing opposite side of Tyreek Hill,
mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't cover both. So Waddle is taking full advantage of all those opportunities, and you got Hill that's like, oh, okay, I'll wait.
And don't sleep on Gesicki because, I mean.
So this is what's troubled me about Gesicki. Even though he had a good game, Miami is more wanting to use him as a blocking tight end. Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
That's the reason why he asked for a trade this year is because they want to use him and run blocking and pass blocking and not split him out. And he was like, yo, I'm a catching tight end. Like, I'm a receiving, tight end.
Right.
So he did request a trade. So it was good to see him kind of get into the mix.
So what do you think about his gritty? I don't even think that was a gritty. That was more like a skedaddle. But
the Waddle?
No, Gesicki. You remember after he scored his touchdown?
Oh, yeah.
That was probably the worst gritty I've ever seen in my life. And, I don't really like to go with the stereotypes, but, there's a stereotype that white guys just can't dance. and I'm just saying, but nonetheless, they play Buffalo this weekend, and I think this is really gonna tell us a lot more about Miami than it will about Buffalo, because over the last 3-4 years, Buffalo has dominated Miami. Even when Miami has had pretty good teams. So Buffalo, we're gonna see a lot about. This is gonna say a lot about Miami this weekend. And I think that right now we're in overreaction mode, and I think it would be a huge overreaction to even say that Miami will win. But I think they have a lot more to show us than Buffalo does.
So let me ask you this, right? So a team that was kind of disappointed in was the Raiders. I personally, and it can be an overreaction, right? Because we're going into week 3. Mm-hmm. But Derek Carr, I was thinking okay, he's got his weapons. He's got everybody. The way that they lost to the Cardinals was a heartbreaking loss. And, I mean, it's just been week 1, they didn't really look that good. So, yeah, I'm concerned about the Raiders. I want to throw another one out there. I'm a little concerned about Denver.
I think that's overreaction. Because here's why I say that.
Okay.
Because new coach, new quarterback, fairly new system. He hasn't called any plays. Even when he was in Green Bay, he didn't really call the plays. LaFleur, whatever his name is, Matt LaFleur, was calling the plays. So I think that is just one of those things where he just has to get his feet under him, and you could look because they have the talent. It's some of those goal line, red zone type things that's happening. You had the 2 fumbles week 1. Last week they were struggling. I do think that the fans overreact. They booed. Booed Russell Wilson. I don't know if it was directly towards Russell Wilson or the offense as a whole.
It was the offense as a whole, and if you looked at I guess the way the direction that game was going in,
it just Houston.
Yeah, they was playing Houston, and it was a close game by most accounts. I don't recall the score. I think it was a low scoring game.
I don't think they ended up winning 27 to something. I could find out.
I don't recall the score, but it wasn't like at halftime it was convincing
halftime it was close.
Yeah, it was close in the third quarter, and then they pulled.
They won 16-9, so they won by a touchdown.
Yeah, so if you've brought in Russell Wilson, you've got all these just receivers. You got arguably one of the best running back tandems on paper. They haven't done it. Well, they did a lot. They had a really good season last year together, but we haven't seen the consistency yet because it's still early. They've only been playing. It's only the second season, so you have that, and then you've got quote unquote a solid defense. You would think that the Houston Texans roll in, that game should be an easy game for them.
Right. No, I get it. I get it, but again, I think that guys should just relax. It's a long season, and once Wilson starts getting going, and I think he's gonna have to give more input. I'm not saying that he's not giving any input, but he's gonna have to give more input, mainly because you Russell Wilson and your coach is a new coach. So he should be giving more input than I think that he's doing right now, and he can't be a company guy because here's the thing, if this don't work, it's gonna be on him more than the coach because they'll just get rid of the coach. They just gave you $250 million, so
yeah, and I trust Russell Wilson, right? He's been around for a while, and like you said, he'll figure it out. Again, Pete Carroll was able to be that guy to where maybe he misses Pete Carroll a little bit because
I doubt it.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not. He hates Pete Carroll. They had a terrible relationship.
They had a terrible relationship, but sometimes when you're apart from somebody, you can realize what they brought to the table.
I get that, and you can see that maybe with Brady and Belichick. Wilson and Pete Carroll were. No, I don't. So I think they're both going to say the right things.
Right.
But So here's the thing, and this was years ago, and I think they talked about it last week or the week before last. They went to go see Josh Allen. They went to Josh Allen's pro day. They were looking for a replacement anyway. So now. He's felt that way. How long, Josh Allen? This is Josh Allen's fourth year, fifth year. So that was 5 years ago, and he's wanted to get out of this since.
Everybody has their reasons, and like you said, it's the business, so it's the business, and then you got the human factor of it. You know what I mean? And when you grind with somebody, you sweat with them, and you give everything that you can to an organization, and then you find out that they're possibly trying to replace you.
They don't love you no more.
Yeah, man. So that gets old. But look, the Colts. Is it an overreaction?
No, it's not an overreaction. They stink.
Yeah.
Listen, all right. So you end the season last year, losing to Jacksonville, and they put you out of the playoff, because all you had to do was win that game, you in the playoffs. So that's the first thing. Then you blame Wentz and say it was Wentz was the problem, Wentz this, Wentz that, blah blah blah. You get rid of him. Then you come into the season and you tie with the Texans. So mind you, the Texans on most people's board were probably the worst team in the league. Right? It's not too many people that would have had the Texans. If they didn't have the Texans at 32, they had them either at 31 or 30.
That's a fair assessment.
So the Texans, for all intents and purposes, could have easily won that game in week 1.
Right.
And then after that, it was a tie. But then after that, you come back and get shut out against Jacksonville, and it looked terrible. So what is it now? Because Jonathan Taylor only had, I forget what he had, but he only gave his fantasy owners around 7 points and some change.
Well, he broke one big run, but the rest of the afternoon he was bottled up.
And they're supposed to have a dominant O-line and all of this. So
and then you got Matt Ryan. He threw for 195, 3 interceptions. That was. But I've had my thoughts about Matt Ryan.
Mm-hmm. I think it's over for Matt Ryan. I think it's over.
What do you think his deal is?
I just think his time has passed.
Do you think that?
Oh, we're not streaming on Facebook, bro. It is what it is.
Oh man.
No, it's all good. We'll figure it out. We'll
repost it.
Yeah, we'll post it on Facebook. It's only a 30-minute episode anyway, so.
Yeah. So look, let me ask you this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Matt Ryan, number 1 overall pick.
Right.
He had success, had a lot of weapons. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Had a lot of weapons, a lot of tools to be successful. Do you think that we gave him too much of a pass just because he made it to the Super Bowl and he was the number 1 pick?
So before that Super Bowl run, he struggled in the playoffs.
Wouldn't win any game.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, so I don't really know if he got a pass. I think if he played somewhere else,
Dallas.
Or if he played in Dallas,
because if I'm not, and correct me if I'm wrong, this was parallel to when Tony Romo was kind of going through his thing. It was around the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm not the biggest Tony Romo defender, but people was on when he played was on his case about he didn't have a playoff win, he didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Ryan was in the same predicament, and you didn't really hear that talk like that.
No, you're absolutely right, and it's but I get it though, because Dallas is Dallas, and the expectations are. You got to win.
Right.
It don't matter. It don't matter who is I guess the if you're a fan or not a fan.
Right.
If it's Dallas and you don't win, they're gonna say well, you suck.
Right.
So
we got to talk Mike Evans, Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay, right? They're 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
The defense looks phenomenal. I think the defense is really there. Are you concerned with the offense?
For Tampa?
Yeah.
Mm-mm. I think they'll get it. They got injuries right now. And I feel like they'll get it. They got what you call it? Tom Brady. So I think they just signed Cole Beasley. And
it won't help them this week.
No, right.
They got him on the practice squad.
Yeah, but they're not gonna have Mike Evans this week. I still think they're gonna win.
So, do you think that Mike Evans deserved that suspension?
No, I think he should have got fined. I understand the suspension, but I don't think he should have got suspended. He deserved a fine. They have history there.
They got smoke. That's smoke. That's beef.
That's
smoked beef.
That's
whatever. Whatever.
Any and everything.
It's on site
every time. This might be better than Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, that man came back from the sideline. He sure.
But that ain't even the first time he did it when Winston was his quarterback, and when it's like, yo, they hate each other, yo. I got something to say though, because real quick, I just want to let everybody know there's not a green screen behind me. Somebody told me that it looked like I got a green screen behind me, so I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna walk
come on.
and we don't have a green screen. It's not a green screen. It's just when the Smith Estates. So.
Smith Estates.
But yeah. So we don't have a green screen. But so yeah, I think Brady's gonna get it together, and I think that Tampa Bay is gonna be fine. And that's probably the overreaction. This week's game, for some strange reason, I feel like Brady's gonna say, you know what, screw it, and we gonna win this game. And they may win. They may win 24-21 or 24-22 or something like that, where they went on the last second field
So they got
goal.
Green Bay. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be,
and it's there at home, and Aaron Rodgers for some strange reason plays bad in Florida. So we're gonna see, man. I think so. What I do want to talk about before we get out of here, because we ain't got that much time, is what you call it, Robert Sarver, whatever his name is, the owner of the for now, the owner of the Suns and the Mercury. Do you think he should be forced out?
so he put his team up for sale.
Right. But do you think, I mean, he ultimately is forced to do that. Do you think he should do it?
I'm gonna create a little bit of controversy.
Oh, man. Scott, be careful.
I'm gonna create a little bit of controversy.
Oh, God. Good thing we only got a couple minutes left, but go ahead, Scott. That's your camera right there. You look into that camera and you say what you want to say. I don't want no part of this.
That's a tough one.
Okay.
And to be honest, right? So the right thing is to say, you know what? Absolutely, we don't need races in sports. We don't need people in power positions. Blah 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 blah. And I get all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But forcing somebody to sell $2 billion. I mean, well, I don't know if the Mercury is worth billions of dollars. The Mercury is probably worth
some million. $1 million, maybe.
Nah. That's more than $1 million.
Okay. I mean, that's fine too. Yeah. I mean, they won championships, so. But regardless, I think he only paid like $400 million.
Oh, so. He's about to get breaded. I mean, somebody's going to buy the organization. So, I mean, he's not really losing in a sense because he's going to get breaded. So I'll say no, because it's not like they're going to take the money, right? But it is a slippery slope of forcing people to sell and to do things and to do that. I mean, because it's a couple of things, right? So he's got the $10 million fine. Mm-hmm. He's got the year suspension, and he's forced to sell his team. That's a pretty hefty punishment.
Don't be racist and don't hate women.
Yeah, I guess that's the price. yeah. I mean that's a pretty. I mean, there's no words worth saying that could. I mean, I was personally. I think I was good with the fine. I mean, and I was good with the year suspension.
I just know I didn't really understand the suspension, and that's just me personally. I didn't understand the suspension because I'm like, he's the owner. One, he's not going to go to every game anyway, and other than the 10, I know he got fined $10 million, but I mean that's a drop in the bucket for a billionaire, and I mean. Don't get me wrong, $10 million is still a lot. But I don't know. I just, he's suspended, but does he really...
And that's what we talked about last week is what classifies in a suspension. Mm-hmm. I just, the more evidence that we get and the more that we find out, I mean, it's more owners and it's more people in higher positions that are doing similar behavior. And I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that I was surprised.
Right.
I mean, it was. I mean, a lot of people are like super like surprised, and it's kind of like, no, nah, this is what some of these coaches. I mean, you look at the Commanders. So and that's where I'm kind of going to, right? If you force this guy to sell, and I know it's apples and oranges, right? Because it's the NBA and it's the NFL.
Is a whole lot different.
I mean, what Dan Snyder had going on. I mean, between cooking books, sexual harassment, just
and the thing is, the Washington fans want him out anyway.
Yeah. I mean, and so it becomes. I mean, and then you look at Mark Cuban, right? It kind of got swept under the rug
because he's a good guy.
Because he's a good guy. People like him.
He's relatable to, but
his culture and what they were doing to women. That down there in Dallas, and I mean, he paid some fines, brought in, I forget the woman's name, but she was like the head diversity and inclusion woman.
And so the thing is, I don't think it was really Mark Cuban the one doing it. It was the people in the organization, and ultimately they said that he kind of allowed it, but it wasn't him. Like these guys. Like Dan, what's the guy that got kicked out from the Clippers? Sterling, Donald Sterling, and sorry, these guys actually are the ones that did these things. It's not like so with for the Mavericks, it was that culture within like everything. Mark Cuban, and I could be wrong, but I don't think Mark Cuban was the one, engaging in these activities. And if I'm wrong, somebody let me know I'm wrong.
No,
I'm not above being wrong.
I mean, to your point, I don't think that there's any proof out there that he knew about everything and he was engaging in it. But he also didn't get a year's suspension, a $10 million fine. I mean, I don't even recall Mark Cuban being suspended.
I think he was suspended.
He was?
I think so. I don't know. But we'll find out and we'll talk about it next week. So, all right, man, we're gonna get up out of here. Scott's sound is good.
Oh yeah, it's better this week.
Yes,
it's better.
So we're gonna come back next week and we'll give y'all a 4-hour. I promise. If we don't, blame Scott. So, any parting words before we get up out of here?
Nah, man. I mean, we got a quick 30. Now we'll be back on. Quick 30.
You know what I'm saying?
Quick 30.
All right. But this is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Boy Scotty B.
And another thing. we're gonna get the music back up in here. I don't know what's going on.
We can probably do the music now, huh?
Yeah, but let's baby steps.
Baby steps.
But even the intro, we didn't have an intro because I don't know. But nonetheless, let's get up out of here. The Chicago's are on. I gotta
got a battle.
And I got a battle, so I'm gonna kick D-Jax. You know what? All right, we out of here. We out. Yo.